evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hi everybody. This is Hemant here. I'll be your host for
I,
today. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. Today we will cover one of the seven summits and yeah, how your training and your journey to the highest peak of Europe is going to be like, and what assistance we can give you in order to achieve the same. Right. So Elbrus is going to be one of the Europe's highest peak, and it is also the part of seven summits. When I say seven summits, each continent, we consider there are seven continents, right? So out of them, each continent's highest peak is going to be the highest mountain, and people go around doing the highest mountain of that particular peak, of each continent. So we call them as seven summits. So Elbrus is considered to be Europe's highest point. There are certain people who also call this different mountain which is in Switzerland, which people consider that as highest because the boundary of Europe and Asia is not drawn properly, is what people say. But in the mountaineering field, this is as of now considered one of the highest peaks. So yeah, we will start with that. So, in the interest of time, we have an agenda set for today. So, the slides will be going on every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so, like that, it will be changing. And you'll understand, what and all are we going to cover. So, we have Arsha here from marketing team who will help us, you know, going through the slides. Harsha, could you please change the slide? Yeah. So, the highest peak of Elbrus in itself is twin peaks, right? So, there's a east peak and there's a west peak. The highest point between both the peaks is the west peak. The west summit is going to be 5,642 meters or 18,510 feet. And the second highest point between both the mountains is the west east summit, which is 5,621 meters and 18,442 feet. So people usually do the west summit, the highest point of both the peaks, and then that is most commercialized route. East point also people do, but since it is lower than west, what people do is they'll try to do west and then do the twin summits. Though they do also come back and do the east summit and come back down. And it is the highest point. It stands exactly in the mid range of the Caucasian range. Caucasian range is nothing but the European range of mountains, and the highest point of that is that. Beyond this, what you see is the complete Europe. Like you find Georgia, it's in between Russia and Georgia, and it is also considered to be one of the milestones for a mountaineer. Apart from you doing 6,000 meters anywhere in the Himalayas or anywhere else, Patagonia or anywhere else, doing this mountain is considered to be a milestone for you, and it's it tests your skills of getting into the technical peaks. And I think, yeah, it's already mentioned as the third point, which is it is in the Caucasus range. Caucasus is nothing but the range which differentiates Europe and Asia, and then the range in itself is sitting in exactly in between Asia and Europe, and we call it Caucasian range. And it also is a dormant volcano which has two summits, which is already explained. Yeah, it gives you the high altitude experience, which is basically beyond 5,000, 5,500 meters. So we call it high altitude beyond 5,000 meters. And a summit beyond 5,000 meters is usually, it's a good one for you to get into the mountaineering field, because that's a thin line between doing treks until that point, and then beyond that, you're getting into mountaineering. It is also called accessible peaks among the seven summits, thanks to the flyability, and then within 2 days going ahead and then doing it. When I say accessibility, it is not the ease of the mountain; it is about landing, and then how if you look at what do you say, Everest, you might have to land in Nepal and then do 10 days of trek. Kilimanjaro also you have to land and then you have to do a trek all the way until base camp, then do the summit. But this is like just land in nearest airport and then just 4 hours of drive, and then one cable car right away, you can start the summit right away. But you need to go through the entire itinerary, acclimatize yourself better to do it. But yeah, it's also an accessible mountain. Definitely requires proper preparation for you. You need to have high altitude endurance, sleep deprived endurance, which are the two important factors which people don't cover while doing a mountain. They only look at is your fitness. And yeah, uh, to add to this, the most challenging part of this is it is doable, yet it is also difficult at the same point of time because of the huge amount of unpredictable mountain weather, which kind of sways. Either you can do it, you cannot do it. It all depends on how the mountain gods are on that particular day. In fact, people spend close to 2 to 3 days here just waiting for summit window. The weather goes so bad. 8,000 meters weathers are equally bad, but there's just a six less than 6,000 meter, sub 5,000 meter, and then still the weather is equal to an 8,000 meters, since it's the highest point of a continent, and that too in its middle of both the continents, and it's going to be a little tricky with regards to the weather there. It definitely demands strong endurance and physical fitness. So we will delve into that matter as we progresses into the webinar in itself. Next slide, please. Okay. So entire European range, which is Caucasian range mountains, are approximately around 4,000 meter peaks only. In fact, if you remove Himalayan mountains, which is basically the Himalayan range, lower Himalayan range, and the medium and greater Himalayas, the only other ranges is Karakoram range, which is there in the Pakistan and Pakistani occupied Kashmir, and you also have Patagonia, and you also have the Andes mountain range. So if you look at all these mountain ranges, uh, one of the most technical mountains, which are around 4,000 meters, are in this European mountain range only. The proper Europe, as well as also this Caucasian mountain range, and beyond 4,000 meters, uh, it all requires, in India there's multiple mountains which we call them, even though they're 6,000 meters, we call them non-technical. In Nepal we have a mountain called Mera peak, which is 6,500 meters. It's a trekkable peak. You wear all the gear that is required for definitely a mountaineer, for doing a mountaineering, but it is trekkable. You can simply go and just do it without having any extra ropes. You can see a lot of ropes in and around. There's people going one after another in this route, if you see. So all this is not required. All you can do is one single person can simply go ahead and wear the gear and then simply go ahead and try and summit and come back. So here, when it comes to especially Europe, right, you require not just trekking experience, you also require mountaineering experience along with rock and ice navigation. What does rock and ice navigation mean? Your ability to walk on ledges or steep mountain corners, which is going to have like probably a few hundreds of feet of fall. So your ability to manage walking on the steep mountain corners, or the cornices where you go around the mountain and then navigate, and then go in a steep section also, and use your gear skills. And also, if at all a wall like region comes, when it is completely steep and everything, you should have the ability to use your 2 pointers or 4 pointers, what we call it, using your mountaineering boot and your crampon, right? This is definitely required on this mountain. So you need to have the skills of navigating around a rocky section, also ice section. So you should have ice skills and the rock skills, is what in short we can mention. And terrain is mostly non-technical. Most of the part it is completely endurance. There's a lot of snow slopes. There's a lot of wind and snow which hits you. In the higher altitudes, the your body will get witnessed, or you get witness to completely wilder weather with a lot of snowstorm, powder snow we call it, right? If you look at all this European mountain ranges, you have this powdery snow what find all the time. So in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes, you'll see 3 4 inches of snow which can completely cover a black mountain into a completely white mountain. So this powdery snow is very famous over here. And then also as high as 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, witness around 7,000 meter in a mountain. But this mountain was that bad for us with regards to cold, and then the this thing. So the physical strain increases the higher you go. And yeah, so the complete success depends on your ability to survive in that conditions. So doing a 6,000-meter mountain in itself requires you that you are one world apart from the world of trekking. So trekking in itself, it's a highly fitness, it requires a lot of fitness, and it requires a lot of your mental strength to complete your trek, right? So whereas when it comes to mountaineering, it is one level beyond it, where you have to be, apart from your fitness, mental, second you should have gear, third you should have the fitness to use your mountaineering gear, and then go out on top of a mountain, right? And you have to get adapt to the body and acclimatize to the altitude and all those things. So this is one range away from all the other mountains where you trek up to 4,000 meters, and beyond 4,000 meters, when you go to climbing mountains like Elbrus, you require yourself to be physically fit, mentally sound with regards to good decisions which you can take, have good gear. At the same time, also make sure that you can take use all the experiences you have had, you in doing all the other 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 meter treks you had or expeditions you have had, and utilize them, and then that experience will come into hand over. So this is, I would say, a challenging one, and it definitely going to be, something which you can speak forever in your life, saying that this is something which you can achieve. So a mountain who's doing seven summits, this mountain will give you some kind of that joy. You graduate into doing high altitude mountain, 1,000 meters and above. So yeah, that's about this mountain. Asha, next slide, please. Okay, so my own expedition highlight, and yeah, my own summit story. So I'm trying to do seven summits myself, and so as of now, I have been to multiple Himalayan 3,000, meter treks, summited few peaks which are non-technical, just trekkable peaks in the middle, lower Himalayas, middle Himalayas, as well as greater Himalayas. Post which, I mean, also treks like like for people to understand, right? Probably you can start doing a simple trek like around Kuari Pass or Hamta Pass or something like that, and then graduate yourself to doing a difficult trek in Himalayas like Kashmir Great Lakes or Goshala. Then do more challenging treks like Everest Base Camp, probably three passes, Gokyo route, or doing intense climbs which don't require mountaineering boots, like probably Nagashan Peak, Yala Peak, and all these places. And then got into 6,000 meter peaks myself, where I did the Kangetse to, I mean, Kangetse mountain ranges, and in this thing in Nepal, you can consider doing Mera Peak and Island Peak and all these places. So this is how I was trying to plan myself to uh, you know what do you say, equip myself in getting that experience in climbs, as well as also gather the gear for myself. Started my journey uh, way back in three years back, when I started a simple 3,000 meter trek in Himalayas, all the way until after 3 years, where I stood on top of Elbrus. It was a long journey, so I started with a easy trek, moderate trek, a difficult trek, and the challenging trek, and got into mountaineering. And once I got into mountaineering, I decided that I'll be doing seven summit after a point of time. And the first mountain I chose to do was Elbrus, because by then I've been to 6,000, 6,500 meters of altitude in India. I did more, you know, I mean, I did peaks more, which require more of endurance and then more of technical skills. And then Elbrus also, even though I can't just put away Elbrus, even though the altitude is lesser, I can't simply just keep it away saying that it's a lower altitude. It has its own set of challenges, like very cold weather, very windy climate, and very very the weather kind of space, good and bad, between good and bad, like just like that all through the through the entire week. And so chose to do Elbrus first because it's one of those peaks which we consider doing it. Other peaks are all like, let us say, there's out of seven summits, the easiest peak doable would be Australia, Kosciuszko, which is more like a day hike for you. And second most, I mean, I would not say easy. After that, possible treks, if you look at it, which you have to, if you look at the easy to difficulty range, and also the accessibility to the difficulty in accessibility in doing it, or be it funds, be it gear, be it physical fitness and everything, right? So that way, easiest would be Kosciuszko, which is Australia's highest peak, which is basically a 4 hours of hike you can actually plan with your family. Second would be Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro is a summit which is higher than Elbrus, which is close to Elbrus altitude, but shy of 6,000 meters. But that also requires some endurance, because all the summits require you to have something called as sleep deprived endurance, where you don't sleep for the entire night, and you're walking and walking, and it's a long marathon which you're doing entire night. And then early in the morning you reach the summit, you feel happy and everything, but then you realize that even after the summit you're supposed to trek down the entire mountain, right? So that is the sleep deprived endurance which is there. So that is second. And third would be Elbrus, which requires you to have mountaineering gear, where you require separate gear, where you have to have a boot, a crampon, probably a couple of sets of down suit, not down suit, down jackets. You will also need core, we call it outer core, which is basically which protects you from extreme winds. And apart from that, regular gear what you have for your entire treks, right, slightly better than them. For example, you need mittens instead of gloves, and you will need skiing goggles instead of what do you say, normal sunglasses. And your ability to use ice axe, and understanding how rope up will work. So rope up is basically, I'll be in rope on a rope between 3 4 people, and then we'll have a guide ahead of you or behind you. So this and all is something which you have to learn when you do Elbrus. So beyond Elbrus, the only other mountains what you can consider, I mean, the other mountains which are there is South and North America, which is basically Mount Aconcagua of South America and Mount Denali of, or Mount McKinsey we call it. Denali is another name, is North America. Both the mountains require you to have same set of gear what you need for Elbrus, and the same gear can be used for the highest point of Antarctica, which is Vincent Massif. It's not a mountain; it's a massif of ice, and then you go on top of ice block. And the highest point on Asia is going to be Mount Everest. Most of the gear what you use for Elbrus is the same gear what you use for Everest also. You need a 8,000 meter boot to do that kind of cold is there in Elbrus. The same boot is required, and the same crampon, category of crampon is required. Only difference between a 7,000 meter and 8,000 meter would be, sorry, 6,000 meter and 8,000 meter mountain range would be, having a down suit and specialized, biovac and good amount of cold equipment, what you need for yourself. That is for the 8,000 meters. All the other mountains which I mentioned right now, of the seven summits, which is basically, your Australia and Kilimanjaro, can be done with uh, just your trekking gear. And from here onwards, the remaining five summits, which is basically Elbrus, Denali, Aconcagua, Vincent Massif, and Everest, all require mountaineering gear. So this is your journey for, another milestone in your entire journey of from trekking into mountaineering, and then from mountaineering to seven summits. So you'll have to have that separate gear. So I started to collect that, and then that is how, if you look at it, it's exactly in the midpoint of getting into seven summits. And after this it becomes one level difficult, after that another level difficult, so it's like a stepping stone for you. So my journey started when I finished, I mean, I didn't do first, I did Elbrus first, I did the reverse. Because I already have been to multiple 6,000 meter mountains, I thought let me go try Elbrus directly, because we had a few set of people who were interested with us, and we made a batch, and then we had to lead them. And we were there at around August last year, around 15th of August. We were in the summit of highest point of Europe. So yeah, it's been a very fascinating story, where I mean, the highest point, what I've seen from my entire childhood is around, I would say, some uh, some 400 500 meters above sea level. And trying to be and get 6,000 meter, and that too on top of another continent, was really a great story for myself. Saw a very deadly fall on the mountain. Have very close friends who had a very deadly fall on this mountain. And in fact, it was close to a contingency, but I mean, thank God they all survived. So that is when I realized, this will give you a thrill, which is exactly, which shows you everything, that what is the field of mountaineering all about, and which will also enable people to also summit it. So this mountain was a personal milestone for me. And then frankly, hated it while being there because of the cold and the difficulty. But after doing it, and I feel that yeah, appreciated how Mother Nature is. And yeah, that's my story about summiting it from, I think, highest point of Karnataka all the way to the highest point of Europe. So it was my journey. It took me a couple of years, I think 2.5 years to do it. But I took my own time to do it. But if anybody wants to plan in doing, and you want to do really Elbrus, I think nowadays if you have good amount of what do you say, fitness, you can probably do it in a year, 1.5 year maximum. You can start right now, and you can, if you've already been to some 3,000, 4,000 meter mountain, I think you can do it in 6 months. So if you've been to already 5,000 meter mountain, you can do it in the next season directly. All you need is another 2 to 3 months of time to prepare yourself. So so again, I think this is the saying what we always give to everybody. If we could do it, everybody else can do it. And we'd like to share that, our story to show you that, how you can, how can we make it or enable you guys to also do the summit. So yeah. uh, Arsha, could you please move to the next slide? Okay, so we will start with the entire itinerary of the expedition. So for people who don't know about, where this mountain comes, how remote this is, right? So Russia is a very big country. It's like, in fact, it's a very big continent. I mean, it's like equal to a continent size, right? It spans from, I think, it kind of touches North Korea at one point of time. It also touches China on the eastern end, and on the western end, complete western end, it'll touch Europe. In fact, it is considered Europe also, a part of it, right? So it is like the huge, biggest, country in the world. So around southern western point of Russia, right, which is, if you look at the map of the world, around where Europe starts and Russia ends, and Georgia, somewhere around Georgia, that is where you see, the highest point of Europe, which is basically Mount Elbrus. The nearest airport, which you can see, as the map shows, is called Mineral Vodi. Mineral Vodi roughly translates to mineral waters, right? So in fact, this entire region has a lot of, lakes, rivers, and all these places that, they've named the entire town itself as mineral water, because there's a lot of minerals, and the water which flows is basically having a lot of, which is basically the rivers and all are like filled with waters. That's why they named it as mineral waters. So mineral body is a rough translation of mineral waters. And this airport is not directly connected from India. Usually what happens is, mineral body is connected from India via one stop destination, either from Moscow. Moscow is the capital of Russia. From Moscow you can land in mineral body. This is step one. I would not suggest that to be considered for people who are doing it. Please make a note of it. If anybody is actually very keen on doing Russia, don't land in Moscow first. If you are doing a mountain, if you're only doing a tour plan, land in Moscow. Why? Because you're going to the most complete remote area of Russia. They question you for like 3 to 4 hours. I have, my our entire batch. We had 2 to 3 other companies, for Indian companies, who did that at the same time. There were people who were stopped in Moscow for, I think, 6 7 hours. It's like more like a detention only. They were like asking, why do you want to climb the mountain? It doesn't make any sense. You're going to remote area. Because it is also a place where people land and then they just go like out of network, and they just cross into Europe. And from Europe they go to it's called the donkey route, actually. In fact, people try and go to US or UK or whatever, right? So reason why they're very very cautious of people who are landing in mineral and body. So Indians especially have a easy visa system. You apply for the visa, you get the visa within a week or something like that. And coming down to the flight in itself, you can fly from Bombay to Dubai, one of the Gulf regions, and from one of the Gulf regions into Mineral and Wadi. So usually Dubai is connected to Mineral and Wadi as a direct flight. Multiple flights are there. Qatar also has multiple direct flights. Two options for you, which I would suggest people to take. Apart from this, if at all the costs are going really really high, it's very difficult to get the fit in the budget and everything. The only option you have is going to Moscow, and then from Moscow taking the flight to Mineral Body. If that is the case, I will always suggest people to have one extra day for yourself, because it surprises in the immigration in Russia, where they understand half English and half. In fact, they hate speaking English, even though they appreciate being friends with India at the same time, half of the people there find it difficult to speak English, and even their entire country is banned with, you can't use Google at all. It doesn't work for internet. Even if you use, right, your Android phones don't work. So you have to have a VPN. The moment you have VPN, your what do you say, you have to change your what do you say, place of I think into Europe or something like that. That is the only way where you can, converse with them. Anything which is related to Russia doesn't work. So it's a little tricky how it's there. But then they have their entire world or ecosystem which they built inside their world. But coming down to the itinerary, so I would suggest people to apply for visa at least, 15 days in advance. So have a very clear set of printout of your itinerary, what you're going to do for the entire week or 10 days, right? Have the actual contact number of your trekking company from India, like support number. They're going to ask you. They're going to call India. In fact, they do every 10 people once they call somebody in India, and they'll also call somebody in the local. So also get a local number where the local person can handle them, saying that, yes, he's coming on a trek with me, right, or expedition with me. This is with regards to visa. Flights, I would, as I told you, I suggest you to take a flight via Gulf, ideally Dubai. I think by August, the season of Elbrus in itself is around mid July until end of August. So it's very very thin period where you can do it. There's other seasons which are there. People also do it in January and all those things, which is winter time and everything. But that's for people who try to set records and all those things. For a an average mountaineer who's planning to do mountain or summit this mountain, the good period is going to be with from July until August for you. So usually 10th 15th of July all the way until end of August. By around 20th of August it gets over. So one month 15 days is what you have the timeline. So day one you land at Mineral in Wadi airport. So if you're landing into the country for the first time, like let us say, I'm in Dubai and I'm landing in Mineral Wadi the first time, and also it's a regional place. So if you have all these things handy with you, you have visa, you have bookings of the entire expedition, you have the itinerary with you. Along with it, you have the local contact and the Indian contact where you booked. If you have all these things ready with you, keep it ready with you. They'll give you a immigration form you have to fill. You have all these things ready with you. They usually make you sit, and then you explain them, and then usually 10 minutes you're cleared and you're out, right? Even the flights and also time zone is slightly shifting from our time zone to their time zone. And you may land in a very odd hour, like let us say late in the night or early in the morning or probably 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. So it depends on each company, but how we work is, even if you're coming today yesterday night, like let us say you're landing today night at 12 o'clock. So we give a date. For example, let us say I'm expecting to come at 16th, so I wanted to be there at 16th early in the morning. Like that is the day when I'm going to stay. So even if you come like 15th night, late in the night, that is also fine. We pick you up, we keep you at there's a small cafe in the airport. We have to wait until everybody comes 16th. Usually the flights, you arrive within the first I would say 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. So we pick everybody up and we arrange a transportation from Mineral in Wadi all the way until the nearest place called Trescol. So Trescol is around 4 5 hours of journey for you. You're going to the farthest end of Russia, which after which Russia starts, right? So in between Trescol and the mountain itself, there's another small place called Azov. It's mentioned over here. So in between Trescol and Azov also there's another a very famous village called Chagat. But anyway, so you will be there in Trescol on day two. So wherever at Trescol, you get the entire sleep on this particular day. You're not doing anything on this particular day. You're only going to rest. So from the moment you land from Indralwadi, by the time you're there in Trescol, you're at a 7,000 feet, which is around 2,000 meters, which you're there, right? Then on the day three, what we do is you get used to sleep and everything and all those things. And on the day three is the day when we try to acclimatize you. No, sorry, day two itself, the moment you arrive there itself, the second half of the day, what we do, we acclimatize you on Trescol. So there's a highest peak of Trescol, which is called Trescol's Peak itself. It's a nature hike. It's very, very beautiful. From the peak, you can see Georgia, the other side of the mountain ranges. And that is at an altitude of around 10,200 feet, or roughly around, 3,200, 3,300 meters, only 1,000 meters of elevation gain. We go to that point, spend some time, and there's a waterfall there. We finish, looking at the waterfall and everything, enjoying our time. In fact, hiking and trekking in Europe, or in this part of world, is very very beautiful. It is nothing like what I've seen. It's the air is more clean, the water is more pure, and every single moment you feel slightly out of the world, and still accessible by just one flight, and then you can be there in one single day and then trek. So this is the day two of the second half of the day, where you go ahead and finish our acclimatation Trescol Peak. Next day is going to be moving to the base camp via Azo. So what we do is, we go to the place called Azo. Azo is the nearest city. Before the we go ahead to the base camp, which is higher up in the mountains. So what we will be doing on this particular day is, before we go to the base camp in itself, we would have had a gear check on day two. So we'll check all of it. We'll ask you to lay out all the gear, right? We'll check all the gear, and we will ask people to, what do you say? Add, give all the gear whatever they have and everything. And once you have all the gear, and then we find, the gear is very good and everything can be used, we go ahead and do the, the next day. We'll directly go ahead and with the itinerary. If people who don't have the, sufficient gear, in fact, there's a gear list and there's a lot of gear renting shops. I'm attaching a image over here if you guys want it. So this image will give you entire idea of what gear you might require. Right? There's a list of things from bottom to top. Crampon, your boot. You will need snow pants. You will need down jackets, which are good amount of geography can survive -20 degrees. Your outer shell, you will need a helmet, you will need a goggles, eye sacks, probably maintainable socks, thermals. These are the main things which I have seen people not have. So all of them have a standard rate which they've mentioned, given for each day. So you can download this also. You can have a look at it. They've mentioned the prices. All those things are in rubles, right? So these are all Russian rubles. So Russian rubles as of now is around, it's completely dynamic. It is going up and down. As of now, it is around 1.2 rubles for each Indian rupee. Oh, sorry, one ruble is 1.2 Indian rupee. So we are slightly, at that conversion ratio. So we will take you to the gear shop, which is just opposite to, there's multiple gear shops opposite to the cable car, and we spend, I would say, close to an hour or something like that. And if time, is there, we'll go on that previous night itself to Azo, where we'll arrange transportation to you to Azo, where we'll get the gear, or even in Trescol also we can get the gear for you, right? Any one of the places based on your requirement, will get the gear for you. Usually we try to get it in Trescol. If any gear is not available, Azo itself, there's multiple options where you can rent the gear. We rent that gear, we pack our baggages, and we get into the uh, the cable car. In fact, it is three stages. Stage one, where we go from Azo to the first cable car, where you can see actually it's bumping each and every place. So by the time you go to like, let us say, the base camp in itself, you'll get around approximately 12,500 feet. So you start from 7,000 meters, which is Azov's altitude, around 7,000 to 7,500 feet. Sorry, you go up to 12,500 feet, which is at the altitude where you'll be staying at the base camp of uh, the entire mountain range. So base camp is high up in the mountains. Russians being Russians, they've built cable car until the base camp. So people come here for picnic, stay in the base camp for a day, and then they go back. They don't stay, but yeah, they come stay for some 3-4 hours, eat, dine there and everything, and then they go back. That is also something which people do very famously. And also people can come here, they can also have this bobcats. You pay them $100, they take you around, from base camp. It'll go comes down, and people do it for fun. 1,500 feet for you. And once uh, you are there at this altitude, right, the next day is about acclimatizing for you in the base camp. So this day is spent only on you spending your time in the base camp, not doing anything. And the day four is the day when you're going to acclimatize at the base camp. What is acclimatization? There's a point called Petrokovich walks, which are there at the base camp. So this is basically the day when we go to the high up around 15,000 to 16,000 feet, which is possibly trying to touch around 4,000 to 4,500 meters, right? So this is called Petrokovich walks, where we try to touch around, I think, 5,000 meters on this particular day, 4,900 to 5,000 meters we touch. It's also called Pastokovich rocks. It's very famous. You can see it's around midpoint between the treks, the summit attempt point and the base camp. And we go until that point, we come back and we stay in the base camp again. And that day you rest yourself, right? So you finish it, you come back, and second half of the evening, like any summit days, you rest that day. And since you've acclimatized early in the morning by the first half, second half, what you do is, you start the summit right away. So usually here, when it was not commercialized, right, people used to start the summit push at around 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the night. Nowadays what has happened, because of all this tourism which is there in this mountain, a lot of these people take bobcats all the way until 5,000 meters, snowcat and bobcats and all these things, right, because of the tourism which is there. So of late, people have started to, what do you say, uh, pay money and then go to the nearest point from where they have to actually wear the crampon and then start the trek. And until then they take a bobcat. It's become a completely norm nowadays. For those of you who are attempting to climb the mountain from the beginning, right, you start at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night. So you trek until the crampon point for 6 hours, right? In fact, you wear crampon there only. At base camp only, you wear the crampon. Uh, and then you start the, walk. It's around, 4 to 5 hours. If you're quick, 4 hours. If you're moderate, 5 hours. If you're slow, 6 hours. So you start at 10 o'clock in the night until 6 o'clock in the morning. You're there. After it is 6 o'clock at the crampon point, then again you have another set of journey from the crampon point all the way until the summit. So the crampon point is not very very standard. The point where the snowcat point I told you, right, where the snowcat goes up to, there's no standard place where they will stop each day. So it depends on how's the accessibility, and they may stop at 4,900 one day, they may stop at 5,000 one day, they may also stop at 4,800 also one day. But anyways, on an approximately, you cross the Pastokovich walks, which we already did, which is around 4,800 meters. We go higher up, altitude of around 200 meters. They drop 5,000 meters to 5,100 meters, in fact, sometimes. Because the trek in itself is only 642 meters. Yeah, correct. 642 meters is the summit point. It's only 642 meters what people have to do. But mind it, this 642 is, very, very, what do you say, it tests you like anything. There's this path where you have to trek wearing the, all the mountaineering gear. There's also this path where you have to, what do you say, show your technical skills of holding yourself onto one single foot and, going up. And this path where, you'll feel so tired and sleepy that, you have to bear that cold height and everything, and then also still go on. You get a couple of pseudo summits where you feel the summit is there. And yeah, pretty much that. So this day itself we attempt doing it. So the trek in itself is going to be, if you look at the distance wise, it is not much. It's only going to be, 4 kilometers, and on paper it should be 4 hours, right? So what we do is we suggest people who are doing it the entire, what do you say, from base camp to base camp, we take them on the middle of the night, which is around 12 o'clock in the night. For people who are like, no, I can't do, base camp to base camp, let's go to the a snowcat point. From there we'll do the trek. What we do, we wake them at around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and we take that half an hour to 1 hour of snow ride, which goes up to 4,000 5,100 meters. So that is basically the fourth day night, and fifth day early in the morning at 5 o'clock, we'll be there at the crampon point, where you will wear the crampons and start our hike or our climb from at that point of time. 4 kilometers is what is required, and then it takes you approximately 4 hours to do this. So by around 5 o'clock, if you start, by around 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you'll be in the summit. So you can see two mountains. One is the one is the west, and another is the east. So in between these mountains, we start from the most extreme mountain on the right side, which is basically the east side of the mountain, and we climb that mountain until a point where it has a shoulder point, which, a shoulder between both the mountains, right? So both the mountains have a bridge, like a bridge kind of a thing in between them, connecting them. That is what we call as shoulder in the mountaineering terms. So you go around the mountain, which is on the rightmost side, which is the eastmost side, right? This is where you actually see the, what do you say, steep hiking and climbing on top of a mountain, and arrive at the point where you can see saddle or the shoulder, both we call it, right? So we cross over the shoulder of this mountain and come to the saddle point, which is in between east and the west part of the mountain, and then that is where we give the first rest of the day. So it's by then you would have spent close to 1.5 hours to 2 hours doing this entire, navigating through the entire section of this shoulder of the east mountain and coming down to the saddle of both the mountains. So once you're at the saddle, you see sunrise at that point of time, probably around 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depends on how quick you were. And that is when we will have strict rope ups. So until then, the rope is there. We are a little lenient. We'll be like, no, it's like more like trekking on top of snow, and then it's more demanding the higher up you go. But by the time reach this saddle, right, you're already at, I would say, what, approximately 200 to 300 meters. So the only thing left is another 300 meters only, but this 300 meters, nearly 150 to 200 meters, and for a section of only 1.5 kilometer, is completely, I would not say full technical, because there's no crevasse, there is no ladder. For people who don't know about mountaineering terms, don't have to break your head. Crevasse is basically a gap in between the mountain, which will be very deep. So we put a ladder on top of it, or we avoid going around it. We go around it, right? So if the crevasse is very big, we put a ladder on top of it, which happens on top of a 7,000 meter or 6,500 meter mountain and above. So here you don't have a crevasse, right? You find a couple of sections, but then they're very tiny, so you don't have to worry about them. But here you find very, very steep, around 60, 70 degree gradient, where you have to punch and get held onto the rope, and there's fixed lines. And for people who don't know about fixed lines, all these technical mountains will have something called fixed lines, where they, in the beginning of the season, they anchor very high metal rods into the mountain rocks, and they tie ropes, right? Multiple ropes, and they set up a safety rope net, which we call it, right? These are called fixed ropes. So we have all these fixed ropes from that point all the way until the ridge of the mountain where you find a pseudo summit. So these are around 1.5 kilometer of summit, where you have to take your carboner. You'll be wearing a harness, and so you wear that harness. So you lock that carboner with a fixed, and then you will have a safety rope. We call that as a safety rope, and there's a fixed rope. That safety rope, and all of us are in a safety line. A rope you have is a safety rope, and you have additional extra rope which you'll have in case of emergencies. Apart from that, there's a fixed line. So you get locked onto this rope, and you start trekking up, or climbing the mountain. You should take around 1.5 hours to complete this section, but there'll be a bottleneck also. What is a bottleneck? There's only one way to go up and one way to come down. So now people ahead of you have to cross you. Since it's a very tricky, 60, 70 degree gradient, if you miss and you come, away from the rope, you may fall down. So the only, option you have is standing behind them. Unless you have been to 7,000 8,000 meter mountain, you're super fit, you can just come out of the rope and you can simply run on top of that mountain. That is a different scenario. But for regularly, what happens is we have to wait until the person ahead of you goes ahead, right? So usually, if at all such a situation comes, people are really clogging the route, then we have to try and find an alternate route which is just next to the fixed rope. We don't go away very, very far. We are standing next to the fixed rope only. The main leader will be on the fixed rope, and we send everybody ahead of us, extending our rope, so that we cross over, overtake the group which is slower, and then we go ahead, and then we again come back to the fixed rope. So this scenario comes into picture. And there is this section where there's bottleneck section, couple of sections where you are at the mercy of the people who are ahead of you and behind you, and until that point you can't do anything. And once you cross that section, and then the entire mountain opens up, there's a small bald extension which is there, overhang kind of a thing, but it's not overhang is basically something which comes away from the mountain like a cliff, right? But then it's a gradual feels like overhang, but then it becomes like a bald ball of snow, and then you cross over it, and then you come to the entire plateau section of the mountain, where it's completely flat, and goes up until the summit. So that is how the summit is. I hope the description was accurate. What I can remember accurately, this is what it is. So it should take you around, by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you should be there. Takes you around 4 hours from the snowcat point. And, by around, let us say if I start at 4 o'clock, by 8 o'clock, I'm there at the highest point of Europe. I can see both Georgia at one side, and I can also see Russia other side. I can see multiple other countries, a couple of countries is what people tell. So you finish a summit, and then you get back on the same day. And yeah, same rope. We wait for all the photographies and everything, and then we finish that, and then we head back on the same day. Usually by first half of the day, you are back. Same journey, you trail back, you come to the snowcat point, the bobcat point, If at all you choose to again come back by bobcat, you can also choose to come back by bobcat. If not, 2 hours of extra trek down you have to do, right? You can also consider doing that, and you can trek down 2 more hours, and you'll be there by, I think, I would say lunchtime or late afternoon, back at your base camp on the summit day, on the day 5. Now you have day 6 and day 7 as reserve days. Why reserve days? uh, with us, I was lucky. The first time when I went, I finished it. The batch behind me who did was, they had to wait 2 days to do the summit because the weather was so bad they can't even consider doing it. I would not say lucky also, because even when I went, the weather was 70 degrees of wind speed, and I saw somebody just getting flown out of the mountain. The wind just flew him away. He was only 60 kgs. He unclipped himself, and I don't know. I think he was trying to trying to maneuver around, and he fell down. I think we saw him roll down for, I think, 200 feet, 300 feet. Thankfully, he survived. All that matters was that. So that is something which I saw. So bad was the wind. But yeah, we were able to, all of us, we never had any contingencies. Our team, we were like, all together held up together in one single line. So we were instructing them every 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Once we're telling them, don't leave the line, don't do this, don't sleep, be awake, motivating them and everything. All these things was happening. So this is on the day when I went. But after this, right, whoever went, again they had to wait 1 or 2 days, and then they had to go later. So reason why we've given reserve days for you, where you will be staying on the base camp, attempting for the next 2 days in case if we can't do it on the day 5, right? Usually you will finish it off within the day 6 and 7. And Russia being Russia, and they have very strict rules. If the mountaineering association decides you stayed there for 3 nights and you couldn't do it, they usually send you back. The guides don't help you. They're like, boss, you tried this year, it didn't happen. There's only very short window. Others also have to try. So they just they're very, very cold actually. So it's basically, there's no chance, double, second, third. You only have second or third chance. Anything beyond that, they're like, boss, you have to leave, right? And they send you back, because reservations only extend up to a point of time. But usually, 90%, 90% of the times people do it. There's a very good chance you'll do it within, within just 2 reserve days. So any of these days we finish it and we come back down to Oslo and stay one final night. And the next day we drop in Mineral and Vodi and we say a final goodbye. And that is, that is how the entire itinerary works. If at all you don't stay, in the base camp, right? You finish your trek fast or you climb fast. You come down to Azov or Chaget or Treskol, right? Any of these places. So then you stay there only for what do you say, for the night, and for the bed and breakfast is covered for you. If at all you're there in Azov, if you're there in the base camp above Azov, we cover all 3 meals and you stay there, because you'll be there in a very cozy, good, accommodation in the base camp for you. So that is the entire itinerary. And for people who want to plan doing Moscow, probably you can do this after your climb. So you can book your flights in such a way that you finish your climb, and then post the climb you can fly from Middle Vodi to Moscow, and you can explore Moscow, St. Petersburg. I mean, Russia is very, very big, so pretty much that. Yeah, this is the entire itinerary for you. Any queries here? We can take it. If not, we can go ahead. The next agenda. Arsha, please. Okay, these are all the few pictures. What you see. This is from the first photo on the left is from Treskol highest point. So that is the left side is the west side of the Elbrus, which is the highest point. Right side is the the east point, which is slightly lower, 20 meters lower, 21 meters lower, in fact. The second picture you can see is the picture where we go on the hike. You can see those pagodas which are there. There's there's on the route to the highest point of Treskol. First 3 pictures on the top is basically the acclimatization hike. In the mid section, you can see the Lepres. Lepres is basically the place where you're going to give a base camp, and this is one of those very good base camps, in the entire Elbrus region. So there's a couple of base camps here actually. There's one base camp called Diesel Hut, which you can see there. In fact, there's nothing but of 20 feet or a 40 feet trailer. You get all this transport trucks. They take it and come, and then they make it into places like container dorms where you stay at. But where we stay at, similar standard, but slightly what is it, better, I would say. You get bunker beds, but these are the best bunker beds what you can get in the entire base camp, and we try to book that, which is basically called as Lepres. And another photo here is basically Azo and Trescolca accommodation, which is European standard deluxe hotel or three-star hotel kind of accommodation. And that's all the bottom three photos are basically when we go up on top of the mountain. Yeah, I think we can go to the next part. Okay, for people who ask about fitness, right? So let us say, so what we suggest people for attempting seven summits is doing a mountaineering expedition in India already. While you can also consider going and doing Elbrus right away. In fact, I met a lot of people who were there on the mountain. The only, what do you say, experience they had was doing Kashmir Great Lakes and doing Kilimanjaro. So they did Everest Base Camp. After that, they did Kilimanjaro and they came to Elbrus right away. But they felt it very difficult to do it, and we saw the kind of difficulty they underwent. So I would not suggest people to right away come to Elbrus without doing any mountaineering expedition in India, because I mean your own country, it is cheaper. You can't do it. You can give up. You can train on your fitness and everything and go back, right? So I would suggest people to consider doing a 6,000 meter in India, because that will help you to gain a lot of understanding about what mountaineering really requires. First thing first, you definitely need to be fit enough to do treks beyond 4 to 5,000 meter, right? That is required. So that is one. So 5,000 meter peak is a must, is what I would suggest people. 5,000 meter trek first, then a 5,000 meter peak next. So what happens in a 5,000 meter peak? You have to buy mountaineering gear, or you have to rent mountaineering gear, which is basically wearing a boot, crampon, down, multiple layers of down jacket, layering up in extreme altitudes, right? And apart from that, extreme altitude layering up, you'll also need to learn one more thing called a sleep deprived endurance. What is sleep deprived endurance? You may be fit, but then you need to be fit when you're not having sleep at all. So usually all the summits, most of the summits, almost 99% of the summits in the world are done, which is usually beyond 5,000 meters, are done only in the night, late in the night, right? So we require it to be really, really fit when you're not even having complete sleep for that entire night, right? That is one. Second, your ability. That is the one most important point. What is that? Second most important point: your ability to survive in the high altitude for the thin air, right? Your endurance for the thin air. How good can you perform having consuming the least amount of oxygen, which is basically your VO2 max, we call it. For people who don't know, there's a VO2 max measurement, what people do in order to train themselves in such a way that they can survive for the thin air, where the air is thinner and then you get less amount of oxygen, right? So these are the things which are there. All these things, even though we can simulate in a gym, which becomes really expensive, frankly speaking, doing simulating this in the gym and doing. In fact, there are a lot of this expensive gyms which do this nowadays in all the major metro cities. Even Bangalore has one, Chennai has one, Delhi, has couple of them. Mumbai has couple of them. Pune also has them. Kolkata also, I think, they also have a gym where, they simulate your low altitude, high altitude and low oxygen simulation, and then train you. In fact, nowadays all these cricketers and sports people train for it, because if you can perform yourself in low oxygen and then high altitude, if I remove that, if I come to normal altitude and good amount of oxygen, that means I can prepare very well, isn't it? So the same training you can do for yourself in most of the places. But anyways, to make it more easier for you, you can consider, or to keep it as genuine as possible, how an highest point of a continent is going to be. It's ideal that you do a 5,000 meter peak first. There's multiple 5,000 meter peaks in and around India, I mean in India and then around India as well. Probably Friendship Peak is one what we can do, right? Apart from this, you also have Kangetse, which you can consider. So I would suggest people to consider at least doing Kangetse 2, which is a 6,250 meter mountain. That mountain will teach you everything and anything that is required to do mountaineering in the world. Because one, gear; second, sleep deprived endurance; third, also it also gives you that capacity to layer up yourself in that high altitude, and at the same time, it will also give you that high altitude experience that requires training for the thin air, which is required for you to perform that endurance, and test your endurance at that altitude, and perform yourself at the low altitude, low oxygen, at that altitude. Once you finish Kangetse 2, then you're good. All you have to do is do a simple 5 kilometers run, and if you can do it within 35 minutes or 30 minutes, if you can do it, you can simply do a 4 month training, what we will give, which we suggest you. There's something called Mountain Fit Assessment Program, what we give for people. You can sign up for it. This sports rehabilitation physiotherapists as well as doctors who are part of this call who will assess you to understand how's your core, how's your cardio, how good are your legs, and how's your breathing and everything, right? They basically see the strength and endurance of your entire body to be on top of a mountain. They assess it and they give you an assessment. Those of you who are part of this call, right, you can always, you'll in fact get that assessment program, mountain fitness assessment program link. You can go ahead and check it out. Even if you're not doing a mountain, go ahead and check it out yourself, because they just don't assess your mountain fitness, they also assess your entire overall fitness of for daily day-to-day life. And even if your friends are there, go ahead and utilize that. For people who attended this, you can also bring your friends and family to part of that, and get that assessment. And they also give you a training which is required for you to do for the next anywhere from 4 weeks all the way until 4 months, right? So usually you have to plan for at least 4 months, I would say. Since it's from July, you can plan from this month onwards, and you can, you'll be in the right time to prepare yourself. And once you're done, you can share your details with us, and once we check everything and if we feel that you're doing good and everything, uh, if you pass, if you're good, we can simply attempt doing the Elbrus mountain. If you don't pass it, I will suggest people to do a mountain in India first and then go to Elbrus. So pretty much that. Any queries until now, you can ask. If not, we can go to the. Okay, some sort of gear and equipment. What, guys? If you're already into mountaineering and if you know this, please don't feel bored. But people who are there here who might be new to mountaineering. So yeah, so guys, you can see this double or insulated boot, what we call it. In fact, it is a little more longer also. Few of the brands based on the brand. This is a mountaineering boot what we have. Right. So this is the one. So I hope you can see. So this is the boot, right? And this is basically a crampon, which is a 12 pointers. So basically 8 points, 10 points facing down and 2 points facing up, which is, you can see 2 points facing up over here. So when there's a vertical wall in front of us, we usually do put 2 pointers and go up. I mean, Elbrus doesn't require it, but anyways, this is used. Your entire body weight will rest on those 2 points. This is only for mountaineering, right? This is an ice axe which we use for bracing ourselves in case of falls, when we fall down, or when you're maneuvering around tricky ridges or deep snows, to check whether how deep is the snow and everything. So this is always there handy with us. There's two sections. One is the pick section, and one is the axe section, where each of them have their own uses. And this harness which you wear on top of your trousers, with which you get all these carboners. You can see these loops which are there on top, two loops which are there, and behind there'll be multiple loops which are there. You put a carboner which will attach you to a rope. These goggles can also be used. These are category 4 goggles. Nowadays people don't use this, they use a ski goggles. So because anyways, there's no point in having that amount of what is a gap around your eyes. Yeah, only thing, it's going to be really cold, so it's better that you take a ski goggle. You definitely need a very good, very high lumen headlamp. So apart from that, expedition gloves you can take. See, expedition gloves over here, which is shown here, is a gloves called Black Diamond, which is very, very expensive, which goes in lakhs. Instead of this Black Diamond gloves, I would suggest people to take a mitten, which is basically wearing a liner on top of a liner. You wear a gloves on top of gloves. You wear another set of mittens. In fact, it is going to be so cold in this region, so you wear that. So expedition gloves, and yeah, your backpack, a comfortable backpack, which is where you can store all your important stuff on the day, which is basically might be your rope, or your food, water, uh, valuables, medicines, and all those things, right? So a good backpack which hugs your back and then doesn't give you any backache and all those things is something which is required for you. Apart from this, you have multiple other gears list which is already shared here. We can go through it. If any of you have questions, we can actually discuss once this session, I think the webinar kind of concludes. Yes, Asha, we can go to the next section, please. So guys, if you have any questions, please bring up your questions and we'll help you out right now. And I think with that, we can conclude the entire webinar. Happy to, share the questions. It's all of you can, unmute yourself, and then Siddharth, Govind, Kailash, Rashmi. Hello guys. Shivam, Matharva, and sharing. Hey Siddharth.
Hi, Hemant.
Hi.
Shall I ask?
Yes, yes, please go
Like,
ahead. Yeah.
Govind also has his hand up, so he was already there.
Yeah, yeah, Govind, yeah, you can probably ask.
Okay. I will ask, I think. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, Hemant. So I have a set of questions. So regarding my experience, I have done like Friendship Peak, and in 2023, I have done basic mountaineering course from NIM,
No,
and
great.
we
Okay.
did summit a 5,152-meter summit
DKD?
during. No, not DKD. Before, Hurrah Top.
Acha, okay. So these 2, 3 years back. Okay, fine. Yeah, good. Tell me. I think
Yeah,
after
yeah, yeah.
DKD you did it, correct? The DKD incident ka baad mein, I think they stopped doing that.
Yes, absolutely. So I went next year after the incident.
Good, good, good.
Okay, so fitness wise, like I'm all right. I also went to the stock Kangri, but what happened was by the edge of the shoulder, all of our 3 4 people fell sick in between the route. So one
Mm-hmm.
guide kept going with them. So
Mm-hmm.
in the end, we just had one guide and 6 7 people,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 people said that we can't do. From
Mm-hmm.
they were like a bit elder, 50 something. They said it is too tough, so we had to come back from that point, entire team. So
Mm-hmm.
that was an heartbreaking experience. So one thing is that I want to ask this, that in such case, how do you handle the situation? Mm,
Three. Yeah, see, I'll be very honest with you. Mountain is
mhm.
not asking any of us to come. See, I understand.
Yeah,
See, if
yeah.
BMC, I mean, frankly speaking, I'm not even BMC myself, right?
Mhm,
Didn't find the time for me to get into it. But spending so much of time climbing Nepal mountains and doing
mhm,
7,000 meters, right? What I realized was, yes, I definitely require that that education aspect of it, the theory of it, and understanding it like a student, right? Rather than going it
mhm,
on the go kind of thing. But thanks to all good guides and Sherpas who have worked here, and also good guides who are there, who I worked with in multiple countries, right? Europe also, as well as
mhm,
I think I have that good experience. What is there? But coming on to it, entire with regards to the motivation of somebody doing a mountain, right? So there are world record holders also who are friends.
mhm,
So there's multiple. I'll not take names, but yeah, there's this
mhm.
very you can simply Google about or search about even though this is on record, this is not going to be published anywhere, but just letting you know, a very close friend of mine, he's a very famous mountaineer, and who's a she's a female record holder who did 5 mountains in just as short as 28 days. She had a very bad fall
Oh,
in Elbrus.
oh,
Imagine a 8,000-meter mountaineer having a fall on the top of a mountain, not because
correct.
something went wrong. They finished West Peak
Mhm,
already, just for the sake of
mhm.
consider doing, for the sake of fun, they went to the East Peak, and then they had a very big fall, and now
Oh,
couple of mountaineers, mountaineering life is at jeopardy right now. So why I
mhm.
shared a negative story, really sorry I shared a negative story first,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I feel I have sent multiple people back from Kangetse.
Mhm,
Forget Kangetse, treks itself, we send a lot of people back from
mhm,
treks. And recently also, last time Mera Peak, there's this guy who, when we did Mera Peak for the first
mhm,
time, we had to send them back.
mhm,
When we did Kangetsai
mhm,
2 for the first time, and I was there, when I'm telling you about my first experiences. Commercially, when you took
mhm,
somebody, right, 2 people, they did Kangetsai, they had to go back. Second time, I went to lead a batch of people. I had to, send 1 or 2 people, yeah, 2 people ahead, and 4 people I had to be with them. Now I have all
mhm,
the endurance and this thing in the world because I've been to Kangetsai, I know it in and out. So 10
mhm,
o'clock in the morning, we're still scaling up at 6,000 meters. We still have 250 meters left.
mhm,
Until a point, they got tired and they're like, boss, let's go. They took them to myself. So after all these things, what I realized, I think I got the patience or the maturity of the mountain. You're not,
mhm.
nobody's inviting us there, right?
Correct.
It's our pleasure what we're going. Mountain is still there. I think the saying is that if you've been to BMC, you've heard it
Mhm.
multiple times. There's always
Yeah,
another day
absolutely.
where you can go back and do it. But
Correct.
yeah, especially an important thing like a situation which occurred to you, which is basically on shoulder of a mountain, people fell sick, and then there's nothing much which you can do. It's all for one or one for all, right? Every single
Yes.
phrase you have, every single thing, that team building or a team leader, a team captain mindset you have comes into picture there. It's everybody together, right? It's not a solo
Correct.
thing. And yeah,
Yes.
so at that point of time, I would do the same thing. I'm like, no, chalo, yaar, we did something good. Why to take it in a
Mhm,
wrong manner? Today, I had a very bad
mhm,
Everest base camp evacuation. So bad that I'm I'm actually sleep deprived right now. Yesterday night I didn't sleep the entire night. I slept for probably a couple of hours. But today, when I hear those words from that, there's a young lady actually. Her mother called and told, I'm thankful because of my daughter has come back safe, and that's something good, right? The daughter is feeling bad that yeah, I couldn't do the trek properly. I mean, she did the trek, EBC kiya tha. She was supposed to do Gokyori, but she was not evacuated. But look at the mother's perspective. She came back safe at least to the ground, yeah. Now something bad would have happened. She had very, very adverse situation with AMS. So you did very right? There's nothing what we can do. So Mother Nature comes first. That is there. Weather comes first. We go around it. Second, your entire body conditioning itself, mentally and as physically. If you can do both right, and then on top of that, you're, let us say I'm getting tired, or let us say bhai mere ko nahi motivation nahi mil raha hai. Those things we can baga sakte hai. Chalo, get up, you have to do the summit. Let's go do it. Bolke, I can motivate. I can take you up. Those situations I will see, obviously, to answer you in a way that, as a trekking or a mountaineering company, obviously I have to assess the situation. If the situation is such that, I'm probably, feeling sleepy, or let us say, I am feeling sick, but I can think I can manage, I can push him. Sirf 200 meter hai, I can push him to the summit, I can take him, because ek do log minor issues ke liye I can't take the entire team ka, summit ka dream, because a lot of people plan a lot for a lot of months to come to the summit, and then that one small decision of mine, I should weigh my decisions very carefully. I can't simply tell, chalo, wapas jayenge. That also I will not do. Example, I told you about Kangit City.
Correct.
People told they're not able to climb, but they're like, let's try, bolke they try kiye the. But, they tried for, I think, close to 2 hours, just scaling, 80 meters. And certain times you have to wait and watch, right? So I think it all builds with the experience of, being in those mountains. So I would say we will not take anybody, we will not guide anybody to a mountain which we have not been to. First of all, we will not never do that. Probably we'll go as friends. Chalo yaar, आप भी जाएंगे, हम भी जाएंगे, साथ में जाएंगे. We'll also pay, find a company who's done it already. We'll go with them. Or since we know a lot of people in the industry, let's go. These are the best people. We find it for you. We'll go together. But for mountains where we already been to, those bottlenecks we know, those are, the choke points where people usually tend to give up, we know. And also human behavior wise, where people try to feel lethargic, or feel tired, or all those things we will know. So based on that, we'll motivate them to complete the summit. But if it's a question about your safety and about your wellness, there's no looking back. Motivate the person that coming back is something great, right? In fact, it's a very good decision. Summiting is not, there's the only sport where there's no winners and there's no losers. I tell the same thing every single time to every single guy who comes. There's this record holders are there, and there's somebody else beating the record. Unfortunately, mountaineering has become that. It's a sensitive topic, and let's not go there. But you understand how.
Yes, absolutely.
In a mountain, it's all about coming back safe, right? Even if I don't summit, so that way I will weigh my options at that point, at that summit ridge, what or the shoulder point. What else is fine? Okay, how bad are you feeling? Did you hurt yourself physically? Or AMS wise, did you have anything bad? Or certain people who have, let us say, heart conditions or other conditions, BP hai, sugar hai. If anything of that is increasing too much, you can't push more. If you're at the midpoint, let us say shoulder point, is a good decision for me to consider bringing them back. But if I'm about to summit, if I've already completed 60%, may saddle point be cross kar chuka and about to summit, probably I will push them to summit and then bring them back. So, but yeah, it's all about the guide who's there. So that's sorry about the long
correct. Thanks a lot. A big weight from my heart has offloaded.
You did something great.
Yeah, because I always had this in, because you said the right thing, क्योंकि बहुत preparation किया था, इतना पैसा तब मेरे पास था भी नहीं, like I was working, नई job थी, इतना initial level पे, so it took a lots and lots of things to finally reach there, और वहाँ shoulder से वापस आना was a heartbreaking thing. But you said the right thing कि we should think like a team leader, one for all and all for one. तो वो mindset होना चाहिए, personal selfishness नहीं होना चाहिए कि मेरा रह गया. So thanks a lot for that insight. And now just a couple of questions. One is like आपका एक single, like you have just one date or you have multiple dates?
No, we have couple of dates which are there. So usually we open 3-4 dates as of now, frankly speaking. अभी Elbrus का expedition देखेंगे तो it's a 1 week thing only, right? हम क्या plan कर रहे हैं? We usually plan it for that Independence Day batch and one batch behind the Independence Day. So usually क्या होता है August 8th, 9th, 10th का जो भी date होता है ना, उसी date पर we ask people to come, ताकि we can around 14th or 15th on Independence Day will be there. That is one day.
Yes, yes, yes.
And slightly
Okay.
behind that, probably, first
Mhm,
week of August or last
mhm.
week of July. So we
Okay.
give 1 or 2 days gap in between, so our team also can recover there, right? We'll be ready for the next set of people. ऐसा है. So दो तीन बैच ही करता है usually there.
Mhm, mhm,
And if the making batches become difficult, we also collaborate with other companies who are also coming there.
mhm,
In fact, इंडिया का बहुत बड़ा बड़ा कंपनीज बोल के मतलब देते हमारे पास 10 से 15 है, एक्चुअली इतना लोग नहीं होता है, चार
mhm,
पांच लोग
mhm,
लेके
mhm.
आते हैं. So usually all of us combine together, and then we'll see how's the mindset and everything. If it works out with
Correct,
us, we'll go together. If not, we do our own batch. So last
correct.
year we had around, I think, 4 or 5 people from our end. And
Mhm,
then we had
mhm,
another couple of companies. I'll not take names, but
mhm,
yeah, good
mhm,
companies
mhm,
which were there. So I
mhm,
think they had
mhm,
around 12 to 15 people. So we had around 20 good set of people who were there. And then we had 8,000 meter, couple of 8,000 meter climbers,
mhm.
three, Indian record holders.
Oh,
So
wow.
really very
Very
good,
nice. Yeah,
names.
yeah.
One on one will
Mhm.
connect. We can
Mhm,
talk.
mhm.
I'll
Definitely.
give names. But yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
And
So that is
one,
top
yeah,
updates.
yeah, yeah, correct. One thing that I wanted to ask was about food. So, what is my thing is that being a Jain, I want to inspire Jain people. You know what? Jain people think that okay, if they are going to the mountains, they eat anything and they have
Difficult.
to
नहीं, नहीं,
take
yes, yes.
protein. And but I want to set it like as an example that even while eating Jain food, you can
You can do
do
it.
the
In
you can
fact,
climb anything.
yes. In fact, I have a close friend, Jain Shwetambar,
Hmm, hmm,
from
hmm.
Hyderabad, who did the trek with us last 15th.
Wow.
So everything, it was like a proper lasun dikha do, he'll run away. So it's like not मतलब ऐसे मजाक कर रहा हूँ,
Okay.
but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct.
it's like
Yes,
no,
yes, yes.
I don't consume it. I don't want to touch it. Simple as that.
Okay.
Onion and all these things. Anything, they've not. I've not seen him eat any tuber, and it's very good. Yeah, when you can do it,
Hmm.
and that this trek will
Okay.
give you equip you in a very good manner. You'll get all the possible. Even there's a vegan who did a trek with us,
Okay.
so you can do this.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay.
Food is not an
And
issue here. Only thing is,
there's
it's going to be
okay. Okay.
less of a masala, more boiled, and more
Yeah,
less of.
that's all right. That's all right. That's not a worry at all.
But yeah,
And
a small trick what I had was bringing. I'm being South Indian. I used to take and go chutney powders. तो नूडल्स से नूडल्स का चटनी पाउडर डालो, खाओ. And yeah, rice मिलता है, rice दे दो. And
yeah.
sometimes I eat eggs, sometimes vegetables too. So that as
Hmm.
मसाला डाल दो, खाओ, chili flakes डालो, खाओ. That is your जुगाड़ करना पड़ेगा. Similar to that, I can,
Okay. Okay.
you can bring teplas and stuff like that, right?
Okay, so manageable है like if we
Manageable है,
can
बहुत manageable है.
do. Okay, okay, okay. Very nice. अभी एक thing that I have seen is like एक geo tagging होता है like to make it as a proof कि हम वहाँ पे actual में summit पे थे and
You
we do
take
something.
a Garmin का जियो टैगिंग डिवाइस.
Okay,
अनफॉर्चुनेटली इंडिया में वो इलीगल है. उधर आपको
okay.
मिलता है रेंटल पर, किधर बेस कैंप में
अच्छा.
मिलता है. आई थिंक पर डे 1,000 1,500 ऐसा कुछ लेता है. आपको 4 दिन का
Okay.
चाहिए.
हम्म
इनफैक्ट वो जो भी शीट में इधर डाला हो ना, इसमें भी आई थिंक
हम्म
मेंशन है, इधर इधर नहीं है तो दे विल हेल्प यू आउट फॉर यू. So उसी शीट
Okay.
पर it is mentioned, but it's not there, but yeah, they help you out around 1,500 to 2,000 rupees per day. I think you need for 3 4 days. So to
हम्म
make records and to make summits, for example, there's this first guy from Orissa who made. I mean, again, see, for one reason, record is a very sensitive topic. But yeah, people who are promoting, let us say from Orissa, multiple people have not done summits as a kuch tha. So he's like, sir, I'm doing a record. I want to first person to do 6,000 meter, first person to do 7,000, etc. So it's good. They pride themselves in doing it. Let's help them out. That way, we help them out in getting those devices. We'll help you in acquiring that in Russia, which is basically in
Okay.
base camp.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
which you can't buy
Very
in India. You
nice.
can't even keep it in India, unfortunately.
Okay, but हमारे पास डेटा आ जाएगा.
हाँ, आ जाएगा. So you get that.
Okay.
You can set up that. In fact, that Garmin का watch है.
हम्म
If nothing works, what you can do is you can take a Garmin watch,
हम्म
right? Rental कर सकते हैं इंडिया में. That is the only thing which, as of now, authorities have not seen it. There's this, I
हम्म
think, high level Garmin watch which has the GPS. It can track you. You pay some $100,
हम्म
and you can take a subscription. It will track you for that entire what do you say, week, right? Uh,
हम्म
Entire week. Where have you been for every I think 2 minutes. You have interval time. You can track that for sake of
Okay.
certification, along with that record of where and all you've been to GPS point. That's there. But
Okay.
just to mind you, this
हम्म
mountain has, for some reason, very, very, bad GPS,
Signals.
very bad GPS signal. Uh,
Okay.
and, all of us. So
हम्म
we had Koros, we had Garmin, we had somebody who had a satellite, proper
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this one.
Hmm.
I myself, couple of I had couple of one Garmin and then one Apple Watch. None of them saw, showed you the route what you're taking, but
Okay.
it is showing at this point of time. It'll record the summit. Somewhere
Huh,
around
huh,
summit,
huh.
it is happening. Somewhere on the shoulder
Okay.
area, you're missing out because of the remote area. I
Hmm.
think it's very remote. I don't know. Probably it's wrong with
Hmm.
regards to satellites, but summit
Hmm.
it's getting recorded.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. And so most of like basically we just have to carry the clothing part, and bachawa we can rent out there itself, the crampons
Yes,
and the
yes.
boots and जो भी unnecessary gloves and everything we carry of
मिटन्स
ourselves.
वो मिटन्स इधर इंडिया में
Yeah,
इतना
yeah.
इजी नहीं मिलता है एंड ऑल्सो द
अच्छा.
योर summit wala gloves are very expensive and then even rental also is not so great here, so you'll get them there.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. And finally, what is the overall cost? Like कहाँ से कहाँ तक का है? Like from which
See,
place
हम
we start
मिनरल
and
बॉडी से मिनरल बॉडी तक
including.
दे रहे हैं आपको.
Okay.
मिनरल बॉडी तक आप देखना पड़ेगा, which is basically your visa and your flights. So usually when I went, when I booked 3 months in advance, my
Mhm.
flights were around 25 to 28,000 rupees one way. Return was little expensive because I was
Okay.
not sure when I'll come back. So I came to Moscow. Moscow se aaye the, and all those things were there. But what I saw was
Mhm.
people spent averagely 30,000 rupees to come back. So up and down flights, if it's good, you will get it from anywhere from 60 all the way until 70,000 rupees. Now the difficulty
Okay.
is booking these flights is only happening on trip.com, European sites, right? It is not happening in Indian
Okay.
sites. Now, European sites is
Okay.
taking money in European conversion. So, including all those things,
Mhm.
it is costing anywhere from, if you're good, 60, 65,000 all the way until 70,000 rupees, right? This is flights.
Um,
Second is your visa. I think visa
yes.
is around what, 3, 4,000 rupees only. So at least
Hmm.
is another option which you can take, or you also have multiple other places where you can take Russian visa. They require is your booking and booking का details दे दो. उसका बाद में you give your flight tickets, return flight tickets भी दे दो. I think they're giving you visa in within 3 4 days. Apart from these two things, the only thing you need, right, is going to be your expedition fees and some
Hmm.
expenditure for tipping people,
Yeah.
right? Tipping people and
Hmm.
your this one, what is that? Uh, your lunch and dinner in base camp,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
is basically let us say एक दिन का बफर यूज किया, एक दिन बफर हम यूज किया नहीं यूज किया. सो पहले दिन, लास्ट दिन और बीच में और एक दिन बफर का दिन नीचे आ गया, समझ लो ना, जल्दी हो गया. सो आई कीप
Hmm.
3 days
Hmm. Hmm.
a good day that I need lunch and dinner for me. So what I've seen is lunch and dinner. In fact, there is this Indian restaurant also there within Azov, which is set up right now. In fact, वो भी set up किया है.
Okay.
It's actually
Hmm.
not Indian, but they're doing Indian restaurant.
Oh,
Indian
huh,
style
huh.
kind of भी करके देता है. You tell I need it Indian style. So
Hmm.
rice also they consume. So they make rice and they make some
Hmm. Hmm.
Indianized version of a slight curry, which they make and give you. And there what I've seen is probably you spend around 400 500 rupees. So 500, I think 300 rubles you're sorted maximum, right?
Okay.
What I've seen is pizza bhi lenge na. I think maximum is also
Hmm.
600 700 rupees or something like that.
Hmm.
तो समझ लो सॉरी रूबल्स. तो समझ लो 4 बार अगर
Okay.
मैं 1000 रुपए भी खर्चा करूँ, मेरे को 4000 ही हो रहा है. सो दैट इज ओनली
Hmm.
एक्सपेंडिचर
Hmm.
व्हाट. एंड प्रॉब्ली टिप करने के लिए
Hmm.
5 से 6 हजार अराउंड 10,000 तक पकड़ लो, अगर सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट तक. सो
Hmm.
15,000 पकड़ के आओ उधर.
Hmm.
एंड गियर रेंट करने के लिए इधर है ना, शीट है. व्हाट आई सी अराउंड 20 to 25,000 रुपीस यूनिट फॉर गियर रेंटल. बूट्स
Okay.
दैट इज अंटिल 30,000 रुपीस तक हो सकता है.
Hmm. Hmm.
30,000 तक गियर रेंट हो सकता है.
Hmm.
अराउंड 5,000 टिप देंगे. खाना
Hmm.
खाने के लिए
Hmm.
3 4 हजार लगेगा. और
Hmm.
जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ कीपिंग एक्स्ट्रा मनी, राउंडिंग इट ऑफ 15,000 पकड़ेगा. सो
Hmm.
40 45,000 आपका हाथ में होगा.
Okay.
ये छोड़ के हमारा जो भी एक्सपीडिशन चल रहा है, विच इज बेसिकली फ्रॉम ट्रिस्कोल, सॉरी,
Hmm.
मिनरल एंड वोडी बैक अंटिल
Hmm.
मिनरल वोडी इज अराउंड 1,35,000 रुपीस पर पर्सन प्लस जीएसटी ऑन टॉप ऑफ इट.
Okay. 18%?
1 lakh, no, 5%.
Okay, 5. Okay, okay. Thank God. Okay. Okay. 135 plus 5% GST is the
Correct.
expedition plus 50 something we have to keep in in hand. And apart from that, 56, 60, 70 something or 80 at max flights
Correct, correct,
to and
correct,
fro. Okay,
correct.
okay, okay. Sure, him. Thank you so much.
Right. Okay. Any other questions or anybody has any questions, guys?
Hey, hi, Hemant.
Kailash, is it Kailash
Yeah,
Gupta?
yeah.
Voice. How are you?
A lot of,
Kailash here did Kili with us and Annapurna circuit with us.
yeah. On hold for you guys already. So thanks for the session, Hemant, for all the details and very detailed.
Yeah.
So one question was on the guide to the trekker ratio. So
Mm-hmm.
is it something like Kilimanjaro, like 1:1, or like how is it going to be? Because in Kilimanjaro, if one person, I mean, in a group, if one person can't make it,
Mm-hmm.
someone, a porter or someone used to take them back, and the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the group used to continue.
Right. Right.
So is it similar here?
Yes. So here, how I'll tell you. See, summit push. See, Kilimanjaro, as I told you, it's completely a, what do you say, a trekkable peak, right? When I say trekkable peak, you don't require anything additional gear. So the
Right.
moment you do mountaineering, right, what happens is in mountaineering you don't do 1:1. It is there, 1:1 is there in fact, but that becomes very expensive. When I say very expensive, guide alone, he would have to, like, it comes beyond 2 lakh rupees and above. It's there, it's possible. We give it also. But right now, what we are doing right now in this, 6,000 meter and above, right? If you look at any 6,000 meter mountain, no, anybody who is offering for that case, they give you 1:5 even for climbing. Reason why, reason being is this, that on a trek, people are still in their phase of discovering whether can I do this or not. On a mountain, there is no concept of can I do, can I not do. It is not there at all. It is about I am here, I am trained. You can't ask questions like should I can I wear this, can I wear it like this, can you help me tighten my this thing. Nothing. Basically, the mindset of doing mountain is completely different. I will start with that. Once that is complete, the guide here is merely for you to help you out in showing the route. Second, provide you expertise on helping you out on in case of emergencies or in case of difficulties, motivating you. Because guide himself also will feel difficult in doing this climb. Sorry, trek is something where you can see people running around. Guides will be running around. You'll be going slow. All those things. Same thing might happen here, but anything beyond trek and it becomes expedition. Sherpa or a guide is all about just showing you the route and assisting you when it is an emergency for you. So that is one. That is second point. First point, as I told you, the reason why it's a completely different thing between trek and mountain. And second thing is the ratio is always 1:5 in Indian Himalayas, right? We try to give one. We give one proper guide and one assistant guide for 5 people. So that is usually 1:3 ratio what we give. We put 6 people and there'll be 2 guides. So we divide like that on one single rope. There'll be rope up all this time. So let us say Kailash, me, and Siddharth are doing a climb. So there'll be a guide ahead of me and 3 of us behind, and they'll put the more experienced person as the sweep. So 1:3 ratio is followed. So at any point of time, let us say you say that boss, I can't do it and everything. There's 2 to 3 points only where there is possibility that we can send you back. So point one, crampon point we call it. We call it CP, where we put our crampons. After crampon point, we'll come to usually shoulder or the saddle. This is the second point where there'll be a point of return. After this point, right, we will only be very, very sure of people whom we can go take up, right? Here, the ratio doesn't come into picture at all. Why it doesn't come into picture? Because everybody is very sure. If you've come so far, you can definitely do the other section of it. So from here, what we'll be doing is we'll send those all the set of people. Either they can come down from the mountain, or they can rest there, wait there for 3-4 hours until we have to come back, because it is not safe on top of a mountain to send people down. So we have 2 to 3 points where we will be having uh, that point of no return, we call it. So the moment you cross this, there's no return. You have to sit there only. Or otherwise, these is points like, let's say crampon point, you've come, there's multiple times we have seen crampon points, they come, they're like, no, I can't do it. Fine, okay, don't worry, we'll send one guide down. We'll ask entire team, how are you feeling, right? And we make the crampon point guy who's returned, no, sit there for half an hour. We don't send him right away, because what happens is sometimes we cross crampon point until the second milestone, right, where we have to cross, let us say a shoulder or a ridge, or we come to the saddle, right? people give up. So we send these people also back. So the guide will be waiting for them. So all these people will go together, they go down. So after the shuttle, what happens? It's a point of no return. From there, probably the 1:3 will become 1:4, probably. But what I've seen is it's usually 1:3 to 1:4 around that region. And after this, highest amount of work a guide will have is motivating people to walk. Don't sleep, walk. Right, setting the pace for him and helping them out in reminding them please hydrate yourself. So these what happens on top of a mountain. I hope that helped you understanding.
Yeah, thanks, Eman. Yeah, got the picture.
But as I told you, mountaineering, it's like these mountains are actually, in fact, they're deadly too. As I told you, very famous mountainers have had very very bad falls here. But at the same time, mountaineering itself is completely, the mindset is completely changed. It's all about, boss, you can do it. I'll come with you. I'll show you. If not, come, let's both of us go down. That kind of a thing. Because one slip, no, off within the guide also is gone. So yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah.
Hi, all of you. Hi, Emma.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Most of my questions are answered like while discussing this only, like
Great.
about food and all the gears and all the things. One thing I would like to ask कि मैंने जैसे EBC किया है, hello,
Yes, please बोलिए.
EBC किया है, मैंने डोलमा पार्क किया है, and Kilimanjaro just in February end मेरा complete हो गया अच्छे से, काफी अच्छे से किया मैंने Kilimanjaro भी.
Nice.
Fitness is like I'm good with fitness. मतलब मेरे को कोई issue नहीं है. मैं जा सकता हूँ अगर I'm okay with it. Hello. Am I okay with it?
I lost you. So
Like-
you told me, you finished Everest Base Camp earlier last year, and recently you did Kilimanjaro also. Fitness-wise, you feel good. Are you good enough to come and
Yeah,
do
yeah.
Elbrus? This is what the question is. As I told you earlier, I will, after
Yeah,
this,
yes.
all of
Yeah,
you will
yeah,
get this mountain fitness program. I'll suggest all of you to get your first mountain fitness assessment done, right? If at all you have injuries, they'll also suggest you some packages, that's secondary. But they at least give you that fitness ka regime for you. That is one. I would like to highlight that. Please consider that. Now, keeping this aside in layman terms, if I have to answer you one on one, Kilimanjaro is a trekkable peak, right? And out of our team, I think 4 or 5 people came to this mountain after Kilimanjaro, considering they thought they'll come and do it. In fact, they finished it also. But I will tell you our summit ka timeline. We started at 5 o'clock. I was at summit by 8:30. Even having a slow team, two of them were very slow on my rope, so I had to push them to do it. If not, we would have did by 8 o'clock only. 3 hours we could have finished it. And after that, we came down. While we were returning back at 10 o'clock, we're still seeing these people who did EBC and Kilimanjaro coming up still. Now, I'm not saying, Kilimanjaro is easy. Kilimanjaro is definitely difficult. That Kibo Hut, back until Kibo Hut is a very, very, time testing. You do the overnight summit. But what experience you would have lacked in having in Kilimanjaro or any climb is wearing a boot and a crampon and going in middle of the night and then doing the same Kilimanjaro. That kind of an altitude. So I would always suggest have that experience of doing in your own country of a 6,000 meter peak like Kangetse 2, which is a very good mountain to consider. Do that first because it's cheaper. You can do it within like 70,000-80,000 rupees in India. While there are people offering very dead cheap, which doesn't make any sense. 30,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees expedition people give nowadays, which is like pointless. By the time you go to base camp, a lot of things are not there. So it's better that you choose a very good, expeditions company in India and do a good Kangetse 2 mountain, like a Kangetse 2 mountain. If you can tick Kangetse, immediately next year you go to Elbrus is what I will suggest you. Without that, if you go, it is not that, I would not say you can't do it. Ek mushkil hai, aisa nahi bol raha hu. Mushkil definitely lagega. If Kilimanjaro is 1x difficulty, I would put Elbrus at 1.5 or 2x difficulty than Kilimanjaro. If I have to put in one single line. If I have to put it in the experience wise, you're completely new to boot and crampon if you have not worn it at all. And wearing a boot and crampon and then doing the 4 kilometers, in that difficulty, it'll weigh you down. It'll be like, world apart with regards to, climbing a peak with trekking gear and then climbing a peak with boot and crampon, which is extra weight on top of your body. So I highly suggest you consider a 6,000 meter peak or a 5,000 meter peak in India before you do Elbrus.
Like actually, while Kilimanjaro also, you can say fortunately or unfortunately, while descending, we have to wear that crampons only. There was a huge snow.
See, Kilimanjaro telling ice spikes or crampon. Did you wear crampon? I think spikes.
Crampon. No. I think it was 10 pointers by crampon. I
How big
think.
was the crampon? Is it, is it more than 2 inches?
No, no, not more than two
That is
inches.
a
No,
spike.
no.
That is what people
Okay,
confuse with. Ice spike
okay,
is only a trekking gear.
okay, okay.
Crampon gives you 350 to 400 grams of extra weight in each boot. So, nowadays crampons are only 150 to 200 grams. But your mountain boot, no, it adds 2 kgs extra. The mountain boot, which is available commercially in India right now, gets which all these, more army people wear, is 2 kgs in one single foot. That boot only will weigh you down so much. Forget, wearing a crampon. If I give mountain boot and ask you to do Kilimanjaro, no, it will become suddenly 1.5 times difficult. So that way, I would suggest you do a small, at least a 5,000-meter mountain in India, and then attempt Elbrus. Because
Okay.
why go so far away and then learn gear in a different country, spending 2 to 3 lakh, 2.5 lakh. You spend close to 2.5 lakhs. In fact, Kilimanjaro is more expensive to then to do Elbrus.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you'll be spending close to 2.5 lakhs here also. Why waste that kind of what do you say, money, and why experiment there? Do that experiment in India only, where you'll spend probably 50-60,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees maximum. But yeah,
Okay.
you'll be fit. It's not about your fitness again. Don't take me wrong. Please don't
No,
think that
no.
I
Yeah, yeah.
scripted that.
I got it. Yeah.
It's
Like
only
about
about
fitness now, what I have seen in your parameters now, my
hmm,
cycling is 500 kilometers per month.
how
Daily I
much?
do cycling like around cycling.
Hmm?
Daily I do around 30 kilometers per day.
Ah, good. See, these are all only aerobic eligibility what we've given. Don't go by
Yeah.
it. I mean, these are the eligibility what we are giving people for people to start planning for 4 months, not at the
Okay.
end of the 4 months.
Now this
But
is not the like
you
qualification.
understand, no?
This is the
So
eligibility.
if I give this fitness criteria, that's good for Everest Base Camp only. Beyond Everest Base Camp, this fitness criteria, people everybody can achieve it.
I got it. I'm noting it.
Yes.
So like okay. My other questions are like answered.
Great.
Okay,
Great.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Govind.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Rashmi, and have
Hi, Himansh.
hi.
Yeah, am I
Someone.
audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, actually, I got to know about some snow cat or something which goes up to 5,100 meter in
Correct.
Elbrus. Like, can you
Correct.
please explain what exactly is that?
See, snowcat is like basically this. It's a snow move. They remove snow on the top of a mountain, right? So it's
Okay.
actually used for roads. But Russians, being Russians, they have the only thing they have not done is putting a cable car on top of the peak. So
Mm.
they have some mountaineering left. So they have left that part, aside. So 5,100 meters and above, they have not did any kind of, they're not allowing any. In fact, snowcat can go until 5,200 also, in the shoulder, it seems, in rescue times and all. But they're not sending it anymore. But
Okay.
around, I would not say 5,100, around
Mm.
5,000 meters or around 4,900, all the way until 5,000 meters. You can take a snowcat from the base camp until the snowcat point, paying $150 to go top and $100 to come down. So this they do to save time. So they
Okay.
started this for people for going and standing at that height and then coming back for tourists. But now what has happened is even mountaineers have started to use it, because what is happening is the entire section of the glacier, the snowy section is completely bombarded. They have like, it cuts the ice, it cuts the snow. So what happens is there's water flowing even at 5,000 meters, which is very rare to see in a
Mm.
glaciated mountain. And because of that, people one of few of those days you will be walking around water also at around 4,000, 800 to 5,000 meters. So after you cross that, around closer to the snowcat point, you can use your boot and crampon and trek. But yeah, you pay $150. They take you from base camp, which is at the diesel hut or Lepres. They take you all the way until the snowcat point is around 5,000 meters, approximately around that time. They charge you separately for that. And charge also is very, very seasonal. Sometimes they charge only $100, sometimes $150. So it's very, very, based on, what is there on that particular day. And sometimes they charge only $220. They give you $30 discount if you do up and down with them.
Okay. So, how far is the summit from that point?
Probably 3 kilometers.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But the difficulty,
Mm.
people may go up till that point. I have seen a lot of people, the first time I went to the snowcat only. they faced very difficult people, especially who did Kilimanjaro and came, no, and suddenly you drop them at 5,000 meters. Your body is cold, middle of the night, 4 o'clock. I'm asking you to suddenly, do a 70-degree gradient of walk. You will give up in 10 minutes. In fact, our entire group gave up. My entire line, who were supposed to be, who did Kangetse 2, somebody did Kangetse 2 twice. Somebody attempted 7,000 meter and came. Somebody's a marathoner, 42 kilometers, 43 kilometers is completed and come. He's super fit. All of these people looking at them, they were speaking all this hi-fi stuff. I was like, okay, this team is going to definitely do it. And yeah, I was the sweep for the team. And it was so difficult for me to, motivate these guys. And sweep will, find the most amount of pressure in pushing the team up. So yeah, it was difficult, but yeah, somehow, we motivated and we brought them up. So, certain times, I think, their experience, what they realized was, the difficulty was coming back in this, so going up and then coming down without any warm up, right? Suddenly putting at 5,000 meters from 4,000 meters, 4,100 meters was very, very, 4,500 meters was not a good idea, but yeah, nowadays it has become like that, but pretty much that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Hemant, since I did my EBC, from that day I'm like thinking of this trek and I wanted to call you and
Oh,
talk about it.
nice.
But I got the answers to my questions. I think I still have to work on myself.
No, no. You keep doing tricks. That is why you have to work on yourself. You can't,
Yes.
right? So I think she attempted Gokyori with us. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would suggest you to, consider, I think, do one of this year Naveen is doing, Kangetse.
That he's telling from 2 years.
This year he's for sure. So,
Okay.
so he's making a batch also.
Okay.
He has another friend. So you can talk to Naveen. No, Naveen is your friend.
Yeah, sure.
So you can plan and then attempt Kangetse with us. So you'll understand the
Yeah.
difficulty of that.
Mm-hmm.
You are actually
Yeah, but
fit. The only thing what I feel is you need that sleep deprived endurance. That is what I think even Gokyori, you underwent the difficulty in completing Gokyori.
yeah, I started getting AMS symptoms from Gokyo.
So yeah, the higher you go, the better you feel. So do one altitude at a time. Before you do Elbrus, no, I would always suggest you consider Kangetse.
Okay. I had actually got AMS during Goichala also.
Yeah,
Goichala and EBC.
fine.
Yeah.
See, very, very, a percentage of people, 1 or 2% of people get AMS. That's completely normal. Well, let's help you out. Do a Kangetse. You'll get the idea of wearing gear and then doing that altitude. And, you'll have good amount of.
Okay, nice. Good to know. It was a wonderful session, Hemant.
I hope I was able to cover everything. Sorry if I've gone beyond the time limit, but yeah, try to cover as much as possible.
Yeah.
And we'll love to host all of you on top of Europe's highest peak. You still have 3-4 months, so we can plan. And yeah, one-on-one, let's connect. I'll speak to each of you.
Sure.
Right? Any other questions? Anybody has? Good. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I think we can call it an evening. And yeah, so you'll get all sort of other information.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this recording will be also published on YouTube. You can also refer to it. We'll also get a link later after a few days. Chalo guys, thank you so much. And we can connect one-on-one. If anybody wants to connect, you can always message, talk to Hemant and they'll connect you with me. Bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.